Beautiful weather to watch a horror movie. Here my low budget recording session. I mean, it's nothing special, but at least it works. Currently working on a video that will be coming out before this one, of the time of me recording this. I have a terrible memory, and I also am really afraid, like easily scared. So a funny thing that I did like 2 days ago was to make this my new background for my phone. So whenever I try to log in or unlock the phone, I will see Mr. Slender Man himself, the Tinky Winky one. Now this is honestly hilarious to me, probably not for you, but I tell you, it's really effective. I get really scared a lot. Accurate picture of how I might look like after seeing the movie. I mean, really, who thought that this right here, were going to be a great concept for a movie? Jesus Christ. Whoa, much better. Welcome to another video, and today actually we're going to do a movie review, my first ever. And what better way to start it off with a 2018 sort of horror movie, Slender Man. If you're asking me, hey, are you any good at movies? At least to horror movies, I am pretty good. I mean, I've seen all the classics. I've seen the Freddy's, I've seen the Jason, I've even been scared ever since I was young, with the true horror from like Pingu or even like Courage, the Cowardly Dog. And I mean, if you compare those things to nowadays horror movies, what do we really have? I guess Teen Titans Go? I went out with a friend and we actually saw the Slender Man in the cinema. He was pretty skeptical about it. He didn't have any thoughts about it at all. He just wanted to see it, to see if he could get any scared by it. Basically, there's like nothing that really scares rather him or me nowadays, except for horror games, because those are truly terrifying, or this, again. Besides from the fact that we had to wait like 5 years in order to get this movie, that there were some girls talking about the upcoming Grinch movie, but they referred it to as the cringe at the cinema. There was also a lot of people talking about the politics and stuff, because if you didn't know, Sweden is currently having its election year, and not to mention the awful looking movie called The Spy Who Dumped Me. But from the catchline of Kiss My Ass in, I think it's pretty clear to call it a really bad movie. But anyway, that's out of the topic. Let's get into this review, shall we? Now, a good movie for me is a movie that you can remember. I barely remember anything from the Slender Man, so I actually have to make some notes that I'm gonna be using in order to keep my memory fresh. The story is quite simple. If you've seen any horror movies from like the 80s or any horror movie in general, it's following the same sort of logic. You have the teenager group, and then you have some sort of monster or something that's trying to kill them. Basic principle, I mean, it works, I guess. Like, imagine Friday the 13th, but it's Slender Man this time. The acting is atrocious. I will say that the leading cast, the teenage girls, they are pretty bad. or really bad for that matter. They do not convince me at all that they are scared. There seem to be no direction into what they're supposed to do. The only one that I can sort of give a little bit credit to is I don't remember her name. I think she has King in her name. She basically resembles like a younger sister to the girl from Kick-Ass, if you remember her. She's the only one in the movie that I felt sort of wanted to do this, but the others are just very awful. The characters are non-existing actually. They are pretty bad made, like we don't really know too much about them. They're really bad structured overall, and the one the movie is sort of supporting throughout this entire mess, she is basically just a she is really bad to her sister, like she bullies her. Not really the best one to emphasize on the whole, like, oh, you should care about her sort of thing. We don't really care about her in the movie at all. As usual with all the horror movies, there's always like this weak love story, which is something very common in horror movies. There is a make-out session with the sister that I mentioned, and the one she's interested in. There's this scene when she goes to his house, and then they basically play a song, then they start kissing, and then they're like just together. Oh, and to top it all off, it ends with her hallucinating that he is a very bad CGI monster, which doesn't work as an effective scare at all. The CGI, it just flat out sucks. Like, I've seen worse, of course, but I also seen way better when it comes to horror movies. When I first saw it, I didn't know actually that Slender Man was actually played by an actor. He was played by this guy. I can't remember his name. However, the times we see Slender Man, yeah, the CGI just sucks. Like, there's this one scene when the sister character is like looking into the woods and she sees Slender Man, and the face is like so laughably awful that it sort of seems like they took it right out of the Slender Day 8 Pages game. The things that sort of builds up the scare momentums is the music. I think the music is decent enough to make a very scary atmosphere, like it's really disturbing, all that, but at the same time it's not really good horror music. It's not really classified as music. It's like trying, and I give them that, but they fail. At least that's the thing that builds up like the atmosphere, sort of. The coloration is very dark and sort of boring. It has like that generic scary feeling to it. The scares themselves, they have a nice build up, I guess you can say, but they fail to deliver so much. It's pretty obvious whenever there's a scare, and that's something that I hate when, like, in scare movies nowadays, they always have the same build up, and it's very predictable to know exactly like when it's about to strike you. You have that brief moment of silence, and then the quick firing of a music, or just like a sporadic like piano just playing or something like that. If you're sitting in a big cinema when the speakers are really freaking loud compared to your own, of course you're gonna jump. Well, not me, because I've sort of grown used to it. The camera work. The camera is like never still. It's always like someone is always holding it. It can build like good cinematography depending on what the moment is, like they did in Avengers Infinity War, when Iron Man meets Doctor Strange and they're walking on the streets. When they're filming that, they have like obviously a guy recording it, but it sort of gives the feeling that you are walking with them. In this movie, no, it never works. I hate the camera job in this. This horror movie basically feels like a copycat of a lot of other things. There's like nothing original about it. You have the group of teenagers, the white people is always stupid. In this movie, the black person doesn't die first. But yeah, it just feels like I've seen this movie before. The only thing is that it's Slender Man in it. For a movie based around a creepypasta, and also not directly a direct inspiration of the game, I'm really not too disappointed, but sort of in a way, that they never used anything like Slender effect related, like this sound right here. Like, they never used that as a scary thing in the movie. It wouldn't work that much, at least against me, because I'm not that scared of horror movies. But at least it would have been like a little cool little thing if they paid homage to the original game. Could have played it once in the movie, or they had that atmosphere. This right here. It could have been cool for like the Slender fans out there that are really into Slender and all that, if they like had something like that they could react to, like, oh, they're playing that, they're like paying homage to it. The movie has really weird rules, and I don't know how to put it in words. Like, you have these bells that are ringing, like you have to close your eyes on the first, you have to pray on the second or whatever it was, and then you have to like open your eyes on the third. I can't remember. It's such a weird movie. And it really is a bad movie overall, I gotta say. It really feels like Sony, when they developed this movie, it just felt like it was a cash grab, which a lot of movies are nowadays, especially horrors. Does it work as a creepypasta movie? No, not at all. Does it work as a scare movie? Not at all either. Does it work as a movie? Yes. I can definitely say it's a movie. However, for a multi-billionaire company, it really doesn't hold up. If it was a fan movie and was made on a YouTube channel, then I could say it's pretty good. But as it is for a film company that makes bigger and better movie than this, it's really just completely awful. You don't really win anything on seeing this movie at all. You better have seen like a better horror movie like The Exorcist or any of the Friday the 13th movies or even Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, see a classic horror movie when the horror was actually good. Overall, I do not recommend you seeing it. But if you want to, then go and see it. I won't hold anything against you. My review score will be 2 out of 10. This movie basically like ruins the whole concept of there ever being a good horror movie or even a good creepypasta movie if they're planning to make that a new thing. If this movie would have been released around the time of the hyping around Slender Man, I think it would have worked a lot better. However, I think there's way better like fan films on YouTube that you can watch instead of this movie. They are at least way better and deserves more attention than this movie. Like, you don't really need to see it, believe me. There's nothing special to it. But yeah, that's gonna be wrapping up my review actually. I hope you liked this video. I hope it didn't scare you too much in the beginning section there. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.